All right, hello and welcome everyone to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. It's a crazy night in the world of pro wrestling. We've been talking about CM Punk on another stream, but on this stream right here, we're going to try and keep it strictly about Payback because it's about to kick off in about 44 minutes time. And we started our build-up show a bit late, but I'm sure you understand why. It's been a busy night, as I said, in pro wrestling, but we'll be back right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Welcome once again. I felt like I was talking a million miles per hour there. Sorry for the viewers, but we are trying to get through this as quick as we can because, of course, we didn't do our preview and predictions episode this time around, which was a real shame. We didn't manage to find a time to do it. So we thought, you know what, we'll cram it into a build-up show. It'll be all right. But then, of course, big news breaks tonight with CM Punk's dismissal from AEW as well. But again, we're not going to go into detail on that. We've already done a stream. Yeah. So please stick with us for WWE talk only, but we do talk all about this in depth on this channel as well. So if you haven't already, please check that out, hopefully at a later date, and you'll stick with us right here. Talking about sticking with us right here, we've got our buddy from the Give Me a Whole Year channel, and also from WrestleSphere, of course, we've got Sam Smith joining us once again. Sam, hello again.
I'm a lot more zen now, boys.
There we go, a bit calmer now. We're a bit calmer. Although, yeah. We do have to speed through, so I think the stress is still going to be there, but we'll make it work.
But I'm sat cross-legged here, like the next incarnation of the Buddha.
Scott, just to inform you that it is starting at 1 a.m. But
are you sure?
I'm on the network now. I'm watching. It's currently showing SummerSlam. Up next will be the kickoff show at 12, and then obviously the pay-per-view at 1 a.m.
Oh, all right. Oh, I can breathe.
So, yeah,
I want you to redo that intro then, because that wasn't good enough.
And I did say 44 minutes. It's actually would have been an hour and 44. So, all right, I can bring. Lucas, I'm trusting you. If we get through 2 matches and the show starts, I'm going to be very upset.
Well,
I'll keep an eye on it.
Network on now. Roman Reigns is currently on the apron, flagging off the fans from SummerSlam. So they haven't even started the pre-show yet. So,
all right, brilliant. Okay, well. Daniel's joined us again in the comments. Once again, thanks for joining us, mate. Appreciate you are a kind of avid follower of us on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, as you are, of course, a Holomaniac on the Give Me a Whole Year channel as well. So appreciate you kind of jumping over here as well. He says, I think Jey Uso will return tonight at Payback. However, he did leave a few weeks ago. Where? That's the thing. Nothing's really going on with the Usos on this show.
Daniel, you slut. I thought you only had eyes for us.
He's playing the field, Sam.
Next he'll be on Wrestle Talk, and he'll be on the bloody, the Wrestle Story and all that. Oh, Daniel, I thought you were one of our Hulomaniacs. There's me before on the other streamer. Daniel was one of our Hulomaniacs, and he's like chilling with you guys every week. Yeah. Anyway, right, okay.
We welcome everyone here at Reb Noise.
Yes. We do. We do.
Give me all yeah.
Nice. It's great to have Daniel with us, and anyone that is watching live or on demand. I appreciate people do watch this on demand sometimes because, of course, the main part of this show is to get yourselves and ourselves hyped up for the show. But of course, we do go in a few kind of tangents here and there and talk about the business overall and storylines and directions going forward as well. So we appreciate everyone that joins us for that. What we're going to do is we're going to go match by match. And on this channel, we do have a scoreboard. So we're going to take in our official scores from myself, from Rob, from Lucas, and we've even got Dan's videos that he sent us to kind of go through his predictions as well. And of course, we've got Sam here to kind of, I guess, be in the middle of that and kind of react to some of our predictions, but also give us his as well. He's got nothing on the line here, though. It's a free hit for him. He hasn't got to worry about gaining or kind of almost losing points with bonus point risks as well. But let's see if we end up going with a few of them tonight as well.
Can Sam not put his hat on the line?
You know, hell no. What next? My car? I mean, you must be joking.
He was then, Rob. Why are you getting him irate again?
There's no Dom, so someone's got to wind him up.
Listen, you put your mask on the line, and I put my hat on the line. I mean, This is my gimmick. This is the only thing I've. Dan's got his snacks. Like Dan Hargreaves has got his snacks. Dom is just Dom, and he's like the second incarnation of Jesus. Anthony Nayland looks a lot more like Jesus, but he has all his fans, for his AEW crew. I am nothing without my hat and my budding drinking problem. So take that from me, and what am I?
Yeah. We don't want to be stepping on any gimmick infringement or anything like that, but I got to tell you, mate, I'm enjoying a nice beer here for the stream
That's
as well.
apple juice, don't lie.
Do you know what I admire, though, about Scott is always the one who makes me drink on streams, because I always see you doing it, and I'm like, oh, I want one.
That looks nice and cold.
Yeah. So,
there we go. But
I
the build-up show it's all about that, guys. If you haven't joined us here before, we like to kind of have fun on these build-up shows and just kind of let loose. Some of our favorite ones, we always go back to the time when there was a storm on WrestleMania. Samoa Joe's in a poncho, and we're all figuring out is WrestleMania going ahead. Tonight, as we were going live for the build-up show, we have big news, of course, with the CM Punk story as well. Just want to talk about capitalizing on that, because it's not just us trying to go live, guys. It's, as they always do perfectly, Impact Wrestling come out with an announcement and have said, hey, by the way, we're going to Chicago for Bound for Glory. They're going to Chicago for Bound for Glory. Sorry. There we go. Some Impact news, of course. Will Ospreay, of course, been added to their show No Surrender, I believe, in Newcastle in a few months' time. Well, next month as well. So, we're going to be covering a bit of Impact, as I'm sure Sam and the Give Me a Whole Year WrestleSphere guys will be doing as well. Quickly get to a few comments here from You Know the Deal. Mammy's actually defending her title. Trivia. When was the last time she actually defended? I have no idea. Thanks, You Know Your Deal. You know the deal. Not going to give us an answer, but we can try our best. I'm going to just guess WrestleMania? No.
Puerto Rico, isn't it?
Puerto Rico. Yeah.
You know the deal. We've got it already, mate. We've got it already. Daniel Wiley says, yeah, that is Sam's gimmick, just drinking and wearing a hat. Hey, like I say, gimmick infringement. It's like when Bart met, what was his name? Bort is the name of the when he's trying to find his name. What are they called in Shelbyville? The other version of Bart and Lisa.
Oh, yeah. God, that's an antiquated reference now, isn't it?
I'll let you be the Springfield version. I can be the Shelbyville.
Daniel, you cheeky basket. Although at least with your hat, Scott, I've never seen you wear the same hat twice. No. This one is probably starting to evolve life.
It's the same as my mask, mate. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I know. That must be grim on the inside.
I don't want to smell it.
Do you get to bed with your other half or something, and then it's just like a city is forming?
It never comes off. As a lucha, it stays on. That's the.
Of course, it was born like that. Right, let's start getting into the show itself. We said we have fun on these streams, guys, but we got to get down to business as well, because again, we did miss out on our traditional predictions show. So what we're going to do is we're going to cram them in here. Usually, it's last minute stuff we're talking about here, and we're locked in. We can't change it, but we do have the benefit of hindsight here. We do have the go home shows to go off of as well. So again, we'll go match per match, and let's start out with. Let's start with this one here. We've got LA Knight.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wait for someone to do it. Versus The Miz. And I've got to say, boys, I'm very happy that this is a feud, because I think The Miz, this is the role that he's in at the moment. LA Knight has kind of had this interesting run the past kind of year or so of kind of getting to that next stage. And yes, he's the mega star, as they're saying, and stuff like that. But I honestly think this is a real good opportunity to be taken to the next level by someone that the WWE fan base will take very, very seriously in The Miz. Someone that's been around, done some fantastic things over the years, whether he's the IC champ, the WWE champ, or being made fun of, and then going and misses and hanging around with tiny balls and all that kind of stuff. Miz has been a great utility guy, and a guy that has really given people that next kind of step. And I think Logan Paul's a great example of this as well. So I'm really looking forward to the match, but it's exactly that. It's a method to get LA Knight to the next step. So for me, boys, it's going to be a very quick prediction here. I'm going with LA Knight. Yeah. Let's throw it straight over to Rob.
Do you know what? Other than the Shinsuke Nakamura Seth Rollins match, this is the match I'm looking forward to the most. The story, the promos they've cut on each other, and the way they've allowed each other time. Bro, it's exactly what we were saying. Like, if you had him against Austin, or him against The Rock, or I'm just looking forward now to like an LA Knight and John Cena moment, like a proper, you know, that just a battle on the mic before you actually battle in the ring. Like this is exactly what we've been waiting for. Miz has done a great job, you know, bringing LA Knight in and doing what he's doing, and well, I'm just really enjoying it. So I mean, honestly, even though my prediction would be LA Knight, even though that's my prediction, I want to see this go on a little bit longer. Like, I wouldn't be against the Miz winning by cheating to build this storyline on a bit more, because I think there's more that these guys can do with each other. So, oh man, I'm going to, you know what? Annoyingly, I'm going to go the Miz, but my heart says LA Knight, but my brain thinks the Miz is going to do it because we're going to get more out of this.
That's a great point. I didn't once think about the fact this could continue, and I feel like I've blown too early. Lucas, have you been paid by me? Have you been paid by Rob?
This is a family show.
Like, come on now. I was hoping you would pick up on that. Lucas, what do you reckon? Miz, LA Knight, who's going over?
Oh, I see a DQ. This got DQ.
Oh, okay. If you see a DQ, are you bonus putting this DQ?
Yeah, I know it's hard. This pay is based on an episode of Raw, isn't it? Like it's, you know, it's not a pay-per-view. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, a little peek behind the curtain. In our group chat, everyone, Lucas has been very much against this pay-per-view. Even when we struggled to find a predictions episode time to do it, Lucas was pretty much like, just award us like a random 4 points each. What's the point of even watching this show? So, full disclaimer, Lucas is not a big fan of this card.
He doesn't care.
Just so random.
It is a bit lackluster, isn't it? Sorry, Lucas, carry on. Sorry.
I think as well, like, you know, being obviously at All In last week, and I know obviously for me that even though for me that was too much, this is now too little. This feels like something from like the 80s, like, you know, like you go to like a random house show in the 80s, and you'd just about get Hulk Hogan to walk out and do like a 3-minute promo or something before watching potentially like a solid match between someone like a Roddy Piper or Honky Tonk Man or whatever. They'd do the main event and it would end in a draw. That's kind of what this feels like, this show. It just feels like very, don't know. But then some of these ones are the ones where they kind of grow on you. In terms of this match, I don't know. What's the next pay-per-view after this? Is it?
Oh, I'm not sure actually.
Is
Survivor Series. Fastlane.
No, it's in October, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Fastlane.
Fastlane, like whatever that is. Okay.
Another C pay-per-view. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both like Raw. So that's SmackDown then. I don't know. Yeah, like, do they do this match again on the next month's one? Potentially, with them only doing like 6 matches per one. Like, it might be a one and done then. So, on that basis, of me thinking it'd be like a one and done, because next month they're gonna have to put the IC title on the line again, perhaps the other women's title. You know, I don't know. I doubt Roman. Yeah, they're not going to put the bloodline. I don't think. Potentially, I think these pay-per-views are just like filler while we get Survivor Series. You know, that's how I feel. I think it'd be one and done. Then, even because either DQ, I think it would be the Miz getting DQ'd, and that would then mean LA Knight wins. So I'm gonna go with LA Knight winning regardless. And then they do like some sort of street fight on Raw anyway tomorrow anyway. So on the actual Raw, what day are we on?
It's Saturday.
So that was comic timing was genius. Though
2 days time.
So you're going LA Knight.
Yeah, one, and Miz will probably win on Raw Part 2 in a couple of days.
Okay, you're not going for the DQ. We can't tempt you into a bonus point.
No, because he'll win regardless, won't he? It's DQ.
All right, I'm just trying to help myself with the rankings. Don't get me wrong. Right, going to get to a few comments here before I swing it around to Sam here as well. Who, by the way, Daniel's added saying he wears he wears just every stream, every PPV. But he says, I hope the Miz wins tonight. Don't like LA Knight. And you know the deal says LA Knight needs to get on a major win streak. Yeah. Daniel also says for the Seth match, I think Damian cashes in. Or we're going to touch on that
in the comments later on. Where do they think the end goal is for LA Knight though? Like, you know, people
what is next? Yeah.
Yeah, what is next? You know, is he going for the US title? Like,
I'm all for that.
Jumping up to the IC title to face to dethrone Gunther? Like, you know, are they daft to think he's going to face like Roman at some point? Like, you know, what's the end goal? Does he win the Rumble? Does he win King of the Ring? Or they bring that back? Or does he win the Survivor Series team? Like, I'm generally interested. Like, what do people think is the goal? Like, where it leads to?
All right,
let's go like they need to win, be in a winning streak. Yeah, but for what? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there has to be something. Eventually, I think
forward,
that's always the world title, right? But you're right. We're nowhere near that for LA Knight. There's got to be something else next. Sam, what do you think, mate? LA Knight, Miz?
I think this is going to be a classic heel baby phase, just classic straight down the line thing. Miz is going to cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat. LA Knight is going to be victorious and win. Because right now they're doing what they can to build LA Knight and give him something to do. Miz is one of those gatekeeper wrestlers, heels that you go through. So they're putting him with Miz to give him something to do while they build to something bigger. So I think he wins here to keep his momentum up. I think the story probably ends there, mate, as well. And they were moving into something else. Like, I don't think there's any title pitches open right now for him to slot into, because let's not forget they book this stuff so far in advance. Now, I don't know if he needs to be in any title pitches. I think he just needs to be in a good story. I think that's what he needs. And once he's moved on from Miz, he can then go and find maybe something a little bit more personal, right? Because this is very pantomime, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's up
it's not.
Yeah. And it's, I think, it needs to be a more, maybe sort of up against someone like Karrion Kross to help him, become a big bad guy. Like if Kross can become a big bad guy and LA Knight can become a big hero, then it helps both of them immensely. Yeah. So that's what I'd quite like. Something like that is what I'd like to see. But I reckon LA Knight is going to overcome Miz's shenanigans in typical old school classic territory WWE babyface fashion.
No, I actually really like that idea of him moving on to someone like Kross, because I think Kross has definitely been lost in the shuffle. Yeah. And already, as soon as seconds into you saying that, I was like, yeah, and he can flirt with Scarlett and really play that. I think it'd be, you can see exactly what his characters would do. So I think that's a really interesting feud actually, and I think it's something that they need as well.
Because he can carry the mic. Rob. He can carry the mic work, while someone like Kross just snarls from ringside. That's all they need to do. And he can get beaten up a few times, but then overcome Kross on pay-per-view. But hopefully by this point, Kross looks like a killer, and LA Knight looks like a conquering hero. Sorry, Rob, you were saying.
No, that's cool. I agree with what you were saying. I'll just quickly. So LA Knight mentioned obviously the Bray Wyatt situation that happened. Obviously, I don't know how much you want to touch on that, Scott, throughout the PLE. Obviously, I know it's going to be mentioned for certain reasons and stuff like that. Yeah. But LA Knight said the iconic run line to Miz.
Lovely, yeah.
So, thoughts on, is there something that LA Knight's going to do that he's taken from Bray Wyatt to maybe pay homage, or can you see something happening?
I have a theory, if I could share.
Go ahead.
I didn't know this was the place for it, but this was me fantasy booking out my ass last night. But I love the idea of, let's imagine we had a stream last night on Give Me a Hold Yet all about would Bo Dallas come back, and would he bring back the Uncle Howdy gimmick if he did? Now, I was very much in the camp of when the man is ready, and only when the man is ready, because he's lost his brother, for God's sake. I think he will come back, whether or not he brings back the Uncle Howdy gimmick. But I love the idea of someone like Uncle Howdy being this dark Avenger character, a bit like Sting, punishing the heels from the shadows. Bo Dallas being Bo Dallas by day, but when he's really, really pushed, the Uncle Howdy character. So I fully fantasy booked it last night. So if you want to hear me talk to nauseum about this, go watch that stream. And it is to nauseum, because even Andy was like, bloody hell, Sam. But yeah, I love the idea of someone like LA Knight maybe benefiting from someone like Howdy as a guardian angel after Howdy punished him and embarrassed him with Bray a few months ago. Like, almost that tying into with him being Bray Wyatt's last ever opponent, and then absolutely putting him over. I love the idea of maybe LA Knight and Howdy or Bo Dallas being forever linked now by that, linked in some kind of brotherhood.
Something you'd never expect, but
yeah. And does that lead to a tag team one day between LA Knight and Bo Dallas, where LA Knight is like, yes, you've got this darkness in you, you've got this Uncle Howdy persona, just like your brother had is the Fiend, but you don't need it, mate. You can do without it. You know, you and me together can do this. So I love the idea of LA Knight and Bo Dallas together, of course, if the man agrees and when Taylor is of course ready to come back, and it should be completely at his pace. I like the idea of them both together, maybe honouring Bray and keeping that legacy going. But yeah, we talked about this for hours last night, but that's just me fantasy booking and what I'd like to see. It might not happen.
That's a whole year's booking there.
Hell
well.
yeah.
You could see where it could go. Like, it's something that unexpected, but they could do something with it. It's somewhat, I like you say, if when he's ready, if he's happy and they go down that road, then great. It's the kind of thing that they did with Eddie Guerrero straight away, and that was kind of sour thing for me in that sense. I don't think, to answer Rob's question, I don't think we are going to get anything like that tonight. I think that's just on that night. But
see, I don't know if Lucas was going to jump in, so I'll just quickly say this bit. I would love to see LA Knight before he does his finisher hit Sister Abigail.
Yeah,
as like that just a cool, beautiful moment, just cool, Sister Abigail, or even winning by doing that, or the mandible claw that he took from Mankind. But just something like that, a shade of Bray, just somewhere, you know. And
50 Shades of Bray. I'd love that.
Hey, I'm the clown here, not you. But yeah, no, like I would love to see something like that. Just something a little. Obviously, we're going to get nods throughout the night, 100% to do with Bray. Yeah. Because it's a PLE, isn't it? It's going to be.
I guess it's the first picture. Because I was almost, I don't want to say underwhelmed by the tribute show, because we're going on a bit of a tangent here, but I thought it was good, but I think it was very evident that it was so quick. They just kind of did what they did. Since then, all those videos have gone up online. I haven't had the heart to watch them yet, if I'm honest. That 30-minute video they did.
It's hard work.
With the superstars, so I'm kind of waiting for the right moment. But yeah, maybe there will be tributes tonight as well. Lucas, you got anything to kind of add to that potential Bray Wyatt kind of influence in LA Knight?
I think it's kind of gone. Like, I think I could talk a lot about this, but I'll just sum it up in the sense of, I think with that, I think Bray dying, the dark stuff is out of wrestling now for a long while.
For a long time, yeah.
I think that obviously Taker passed it on to him, and they did a lot with him. A lot of good, but a lot of bad as well. Let's not forget there were fireballs and all weird and stuff happening at one point in the WWE. And I think it's got to the point where it was getting hard to separate the real person from the character, and like people were, I don't know, it just wasn't. I don't think anyone would realistically believe it again, like so soon.
Yeah.
I'd rather see.
Oh, this isn't soon. Just to interject. Sorry, this isn't the soon thing. I'm not talking about Payback. This was like way in advance. I got that. I very much got that. But I think even then, I think people would be happy Bo Dallas going back as a wrestler. He wants to go back to his motivational speaker gimmick. He wants to go back to B Team Bo Dallas. I think people would just be happy to see him as a wrestler again. In terms of tonight, I think while the tribute show is a bit underwhelming, I think it's one of those where, because he had a character, you're kind of mourning a character who like set people alight on fire and stuff. Like, it's weird. It's a really weird one. Like, unless they're going to call him Wyndham Rotunda and, you know, talking about him as a real person, that's where obviously it differs from like the Eddie one and the Benoit one, where they were real people who obviously did wrestling. And so when they died, it's like, well, let's just honor that person. But you can't really be selling the Fiend as someone who was like scary and like you meant to be terrified of him and go, oh, well, now we've got to feel sorry for him because he died. He was a baby face, though. To be, and they did.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah, with the right, I do too. But it could be done. It can be done tastefully. Like Bray Wyatt.
I've been listening to that tribute show. I think tonight, obviously, it's a hard show to call. Like, it's a really hard show to call. I think there will be some nods, but it gets to the point where, like with Eddie, they really kind of overdid it. Yeah. Mainly because they had, obviously, at the time, Benoit and Chavo and Ray in the company at the same time. With this one, it's a case of, well, as much as I love Bo Dallas, little known fact about me. My wallpaper on my iPad has been Bo Dallas for 10 years. It will never change. Like, it will never change from Just Believe. Like, ever. It's never even been the B team Bo Dallas. It's always been the motivational speaker one. I love him. But I think ultimately that was the most over he's ever been. And he's barely lower mid-card to mid-card fodder. And so it's a case of, even if they do want to do something with him, it's like, are they realistically going to put him in the main event kind of spot to do that over the main event people they've got? Like, no, they're not. So it's very hard for them to do anything leading storyline-wise off of the Bray Wyatt stuff, in my opinion. And definitely tonight, I think with this match with The Miz and LA Knight, I think he said it, that was kind of his thing of like putting that in. He may do the finish or might tease the finish or something in the match, but I think that'll be it, personally.
Yeah.
And that, if anything, that should be it, because again, we have to remember, this would be like LA Knight's like first win on a pay-per-view. Like, you know, and do you really want it hard with the, we only won because of Bray Wyatt's move?
Yeah.
He should win, because if someone watches in like 10 years' time, people go, well, why did you do that? And you go,
I think Rey Mysterio's Rumble win kind of reeks of the Eddie Guerrero situation for me.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I was all aboard paying tribute to Eddie and Ray getting his kind of opportunity, it kind of, you know, I can't help, but it was uncomfortable at that stage. It's even more uncomfortable when I look back on it today as well. But let's stick with Payback tonight. We have got a video message from Dan, who sadly couldn't join us for the build-up show, but he's going to let us know what he thinks of the LA Knight Miz match as well.
Have The Miz versus LA Knight. Yeah. So for this one, I feel as though you have to give the victory to LA Knight. You can't have him lose, I don't think, at this stage. Like, you want to build him up. You want people to take LA Knight seriously. You have to have him go over The Miz in this match. So, yeah, go back and check out the interview that we did ahead of Money in the Bank with LA Knight as well over on the RN Pro Wrestling channel. But yeah, LA Knight for me is going to be victorious in this match. And yeah, The Miz is just going to be doing Miz things and making everyone else around him look $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got to say, I appreciate Dan plugging from afar there as well. Key time to mention that, yes, we did chat to LA Knight, and we'd appreciate it if you checked out the interview we had with him on this very channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe and check out our interviews from Money in the Bank weekends and the other ones we've done in the past as well. Right, let's move on to another match. I think it come up earlier on, and it came up with a little bit of a fact that we were trying to discover. I think we've got the right answer, and it was Backlash in Puerto Rico. But when was the last time Rhea Ripley defended? Well, it doesn't matter. She's doing it again tonight. And yeah, interesting. I think they've kind of played it quite well on TV as far as the whole kind of, is she injured, throwing the crutch in her face and all that kind of stuff as well. But I've got to be honest, guys, I've no question, no doubt in my mind that Rhea Ripley's coming away from tonight as the Women's World Champion still. I have kind of thought in the past few months, yes, Raquel's the next kind of thing that they clearly want to work. They're clearly pushing in a certain direction. And my fear a few months ago was, she's not ready for it. Please don't force it. Please don't force it. And if that happens tonight, I'll be even more disappointed, because it just doesn't feel like the right time for either of those things to happen. Rhea to lose the title, Raquel to get the title. This time we'll jump over to Lucas first on this one, because of course usually we try and do our little randomizer dice. I've taken a bullet twice, guys, to go first, but this time I'm going to play it kind of a little bit different, and we'll go with Lucas next. Lucas, who's walking out Women's World Champion?
Hopefully Raquel. Can't stand Rhea Ripley. I think she's setting the women's division back, personally.
What?
Her gimmick is that she has a boyfriend. That's her gimmick.
No.
I will say that I can kind of get where you're coming from, in the sense that the best thing about her is not the women's division. It's the Judgment Day. It's Dom. And this is why I thought she shouldn't have won the Royal Rumble at the time, even though I think she deserves it as a performer. I think like that wasn't why we were into Ripley at the time. She was over because of the Judgment Day. So I kind of get where you're coming from there. But when you've got 2 titles, I don't think it's too bad at the moment. It makes the title have a bit of prestige behind having it for a while anyway. And she is a dominant champ, but I kind of get where you're coming from there. With
her, we're back to 3-minute matches. The title never been defended, and her Dominic being more over than she is. Like that's a.
I'd say he's under. I don't know if he's over. He's more under, isn't he?
Hey, what they do in their private time is up to them.
Oh no, I don't mean that. Buddy Murphy will bloody kill me.
Yeah, Buddy Murphy.
And Dom's just got engaged apparently as well. So congrats.
But no, yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, I do. Rhea probably will retain because they seem to be keen on her, and perhaps this will be a match that she showcases that she's not just like like a 2-minute, 3-minute match kind of person. But I've been really underwhelmed by this title reign. I've never liked her, and I guess that bias is coming out.
Wow,
they give me no reason because all we're getting is 2-minute matches, and like they're not building anyone up to face her. Then if she wins tonight, it's a case of, well, unless it's going to continue, like who's going to then face her next? Because she's pretty much, Xena Vega for the 2-minute match, Natalya 2-minute match. Every match is a 2-minute match. Like so, it's like
I think Zelina Vega went on a little bit longer than 2 minutes, if I remember rightly. I don't mean to be pedantic, because I actually thought it was obviously Natalya got better.
But there was no believability that she could win that match, other than her being the hometown person. In my opinion, there's no build of her other than she walked out one day and said she was friends with LWO. And there was like, oh, we've got pay-per-view in where you, in the language that you all speak. That's convenient.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it's 7, which is still quite short. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, basically most of that was her just bloody holding a flag up, going, "I'm from this, cheer me."
Yeah, there was a lot of
good moment. I enjoyed it. It was what it was.
It was a good match. I thought it was a good match. I actually did. And it was good. It was right that Rhea won in dominant fashion. She's like 3 times the size of her. It's like Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio that time, or that Rey versus Samoa Joe that time. And it was WWE saying, "What were you expecting?"
But I think for me, every match has been like that. That's my issue.
Yeah.
And
almost.
But this is an opportunity to not be like that because they are. Yeah. She's a big, strong girl as well.
Yeah, I mean, potentially they're looking at this as like a female Goldberg Lesnar kind of thing.
Yes.
Like in a weird kind of way. I mean, yeah, I'm hoping that something's done in this to show that Rhea's going to have a feud with a female about the woman's belt, and we're not going to go back to her just wanting her to wrestle men, or people wanting her to wrestle Dom, or in that kind of situation. I think it's just for me it's not for me. But I get that you're saying there's 2 women's belts and they can do one like this and one the other way, I guess. But I think I haven't seen enough of Rhea. But I'm going to go for Raquel winning, as at least it would change it up. And I think while she's green, I don't even like her either. I think that she's at least someone who they're doing something different with, that I would maybe like to enjoy in the future. So yeah, I'll go with Raquel. Surname determined. I can't remember her surname. So Gonzalez. Rodriguez, that's the one.
They did change it though, didn't they? It was yeah.
It was Gonzalez. I think so. That feels right.
I feel like it was, yeah. All right. Let's again, to kind of shake things up a little bit more, we'll move away from the point scorers on the channel, and we'll move to our special guest now with Sam, and see if he can somehow influence Rob's decision here as well. Sam, Raquel, Rhea, what are you thinking?
See, I'm a big fan of Rhea Ripley. I think she proved everything she can do in NXT, and before Judgment Day. To me, like that's where we saw a lot of these badass matches and her proving she can do it. So like, there's no doubt that she can do it. I think I absolutely agree that we haven't seen enough of her in the ring since she's had the belt. Absolutely, but have we forgotten WrestleMania? Like that match with Charlotte. Blimey, they left it all there. That was an awesome match, absolutely epic, and it went the right way. But and here's what I like about Rhea Ripley: she's not Charlotte. She's not the typical WWE. I don't want to say a derogatory term. I nearly did that, but she's not the you know what I'm saying. WWE over the years has gone for a very certain look.
Certain type of one.
Yeah, and Rhea Ripley breaks the mold from that. She is just be, her gimmick is she's the alternative girl, and she will absolutely annihilate you. Now, the Dominic Mysterio thing and the Judgment Day thing is really, really over because it's a good stable. There's a lot of good creative decisions have been made. It's not going to last forever. Obviously, it has to end in tears. But she does need to have a big definitive match. And I like the idea. I like that this is a women's toss fight. And I really, really want Raquel Rodriguez to take it to the limit, but Rhea only just survive. And then for the story to be, wow, I nearly got taken down there. I've got to be more careful. I've got to be more... but at the same time, sometimes not defending the title, like with Roman Reigns or with Brock Lesnar, is heat generation. And less is sometimes more as well. Like when Roman Reigns defends the title, it's a big deal. Rhea really should have defended at SummerSlam. And the fact that she didn't is I was a little bit like, oh, come on, guys. But she's doing it now. But her gimmick, Rhea Ripley has been a very important character, I think, because she's breaking the mold in many ways. Like, yes, we've had alternative girls do stuff in WWE in the past, but they've often been buried or they've been cannon fodder or whatever else. I think Rhea Ripley is the future, and I'm looking forward to she's nowhere near ready to drop the title. We need a good story, but for that to happen, and we need a good either for her to turn face or for a baby face to emerge to be the person to dethrone her. And it can't be just somebody like Becky Lynch or Charlotte who's done it all before. This has got to go somewhere. But I don't think she's win. I think Rhea Ripley's winning tonight. I think Raquel. This is a great opportunity to get Raquel over as a plucky baby face and as a monster baby face, like a Braun Strowman. But when he was a babyface kind of figure. But I think Rhea walks out tonight, but Rhea reminds us why she's dominant, which is what she needs. She does need to do because I agree we haven't seen enough of her in the ring.
I think it might be difficult to tell that story because Raquel doesn't seem as polished as some of the other wrestlers on the roster. So that story of like her barely surviving and and Raquel kind of giving her a scare is the kind of thing that does need to go on quite long. And I just feel like this is going to be another short match because of Raquel's experience. So it'd be interesting to see. And I do think, like you say, Sam, I think building someone up to take it off of her is the right idea. And it could be Raquel. I think they are, I think the eyes are on her for the future, but I don't think that it is right now as well. I agree. She needs to kind of do something more with this title. Quickly get to Daniel Wiley's comment here as well, saying Liv Morgan to beat Ripley. That's a shout. Of course, they got some history there as well. As a tag team, had a little bit of a flirt with a rivalry, as well. So yeah, that's a good shout. And Daniel also says, who is Gunther going to allude to his IC title though when he passes the Honky Tonk Man's reign? It's coming up soon, and I know Lucas is a big fan of the Honky Tonk Man and his reign. So we'll try not to dig into it here because we've got a lot of other matches to go on to. But yeah, whenever that does happen, if he loses it, if he looks like he's going to lose it anytime soon, we'll definitely cover that in depth as well. Let's swing it back round to Rob this time. Have you been influenced by myself and Lucas and also by Sam's kind of outside point of view as well?
So the thing I was thinking, Sam started saying, so I feel like with that hat and this mask on, there's too much like mind control going on. So, and I can't take the mask off, so you got to take the hat off. That's it. I'll keep you on. No, look, the idea of Ripley actually having someone that could possibly beat her, like more legitimately, I think is such a great position for Raquel. Both of them are like they're tall in height. They're wide in their shoulders. They're thicker women. As compared to, as you said, like I don't want to say the word divas, but as that's what they look like. I don't want to say it, but essentially compared to Brie Bella, for example, when they first come in and things like that, it was or Summer Rae. This is a different type of women's wrestler. So I think the fact that she's actually got someone to pick on that's her size, I think is going to be a different kind of match. So one I'm really looking forward to. It's not a David and Goliath kind of situation, or Denise versus Glenda, should we say? Because we need to.
It's Goliath versus Goliath, isn't it? That's what's so cool.
Essentially,
Hostile.
But what I reckon is going to go down to the line of Raquel gets 2 7/8 worth of the pinfall. And then I feel like Dom's going to be at ringside and he'll cause the reasons for Ripley to win.
Doesn't make Rhea look strong, but it continues that kind of heel side of it. And I think Rhea's good at playing that role. I can definitely see that kind of like scared heel cowardice, which it does go against the character they've built, but she is a heel. Yeah,
so I'm going Ripley to retain. I can see Raquel being a really good champion at a later date. This is maybe planting seeds to see where we go from there. We've already seen what she can do with the tag titles. Obviously, don't even get me started on the women's tag division, because that I'm passionate about it. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying
traditional iconic mention from Rob. Here we go.
I'm not saying it. But I'm very passionate about that the women's division as a whole. And the way the women have been treated in times, it's disgusting when they get shorter matches and they get pushed down the pecking order, and we have these moments of happiness, and then the next month nothing. Like, it infuriates me.
I guess to be fair, it doesn't help that obviously Rhea's been on the show that has an hour dedicated to Bloodline every week. Yeah, it's a 2-hour show.
I know.
It doesn't. It doesn't help. So a lot of it isn't her problem.
I get that.
It's become a problem with her.
Yeah, a big problem. But I would say, look, this is the time for women to kind of move the women's division in a different direction, especially when they've got some women that are a bit taller, just even in height, because a lot of the women are like 5 foot nothing. So where we've got people like Raquel, Charlotte Flair's quite tall, Rhea Ripley's quite tall, Soul Rocker from NXT? So so she's quite tall. Like, they've got some people in there that can actually like compete in size as in height. So I mean, I'm looking forward to this new breed of people coming in. So I reckon this could be a turning point for the women's division, I think, from this match. And fingers crossed, I hope this is match of the night and they really put the women's division on the map for this. Like, I'm so hopeful for it.
Yeah, it won't be, but
I don't see it either. But I appreciate your optimism.
Well, someone's got to be, mate.
Look, again, fan of the potential that is there for Raquel. Big fan myself of Rhea, but I don't think this is going to be a show stealer. I do think it's going to be a good one as far as storytelling goes, though. So I am looking forward to that. So just to be clear, Rob, who you predicting?
Ripley.
Rhea Ripley to retain, says Rob. Just quickly get to a message from Daniel Wiley. Another option for us to beat Rhea Ripley is Alexa Bliss, he says, when she returns. We'll be interested to see what happens with Bliss when she returns. Of course, we hope health is getting better and better as the days go on. Looking forward to seeing her back. Big fan of Alexa on this channel as well. So we'll see where that goes. Let's bring Dan's video in as well.
Stratus versus Becky Lynch.
That's not the one. We'll get...
He don't even know what he's talking about.
I had a feeling I got the wrong one there. Yeah. Let me see if I can find out. I can't find out at the moment, so we'll come back to Dan's answer in a little bit. Let's move on to let's talk about this, guys, because we haven't talked about this yet. And does anyone have an opinion where this might play a factor in the whole night? But John Cena is back, and he's going to be the guest host tonight, which they only announced yesterday. Of course, on SmackDown, it was all kind of around the Uso storyline. So is he just going to simply work with Jimmy Uso to give him something to do? Then at the end of SmackDown, Jimmy Uso seems to be back in the Bloodline fold. So that seems like it doesn't need John Cena either. Maybe it's a temporary thing to give Jimmy something. I really don't understand what that was. Or is something interesting going to happen tonight? Someone mentioned earlier on the potential of him. I think it was you, Rob, and LA Knight. I think Cena's the kind of guy, just like The Rock, who likes to come in and see who's over and go, let me work with that guy quickly, even if it's a 5-minute promo. So I wouldn't mind seeing something like that tonight. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did see just a quick backstage segment or something like that before the match against The Miz. Go ahead.
We've got the Grayson Waller effect happening, right?
Yes, with Cody Rhodes. Yeah.
So
But
chance
we've
that
done
maybe
that already.
yeah, but is there a chance that Cena can come out again?
Maybe, because maybe it leads to a feud. Maybe that's the whole point of the Grayson thing. But essentially, if people don't know, Cena is back for a significant amount of time, it seems. Going to be pretty much a full-time member of the roster for a temporary period. But, really...
So the writer's strike is over, more than likely.
Hey, that is a great point. That is a great point.
Scott, do me a favor, right? This is a little bit out of left field.
Go on.
Could you do me a favor? Could you pull back up that John Cena image?
Go ahead.
Why does he look like Joe Biden?
Oh, God.
What the hell?
It kind of does. Yeah, he's
kind of like Joe Biden, Pee Wee Herman.
Well, at least they're using new pictures of him and not doing what they did with the Undertaker for the past 10 years.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
2007. I don't know. Where do you place Cena now in this? It's so weird, isn't it?
The White House.
He's the host, right?
Yeah, he's the host, but like, where do you place him with the roster? Like, is the plan for him to build up to have like a match on SmackDown, like down the line, or is the plan for him to be part of Survivor Series? Like, but again, that sounds. It literally depends when that strike is over. For the day that strike is over, he goes back to making movies. So if WWE are kind of smart, I would set something up for this week on SmackDown. To be fair, because you have no idea when this stuff's gonna like go back, and he will go again. Like that'll be it. He will go, and he'll say, "Thank you very much. See you on April 1st for WrestleMania." Like, I ain't coming back to do anything else because I'm making movies. That's my actual job now. But yeah, I guess the host thing kind of weird. They usually have like an opening segment with the host, and then they have like a couple segments backstage, and then maybe a segment in the ring. But with there already been the Waller effect, it's like, are they become like two in-ring segments?
Possibly.
Isn't it?
Yeah. What on this? What about? So we're saying that Gunther is getting closer and closer and closer to this honky tonk reign beating. John Cena has never been the IC champion to become the Grand Slam.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Listen. Listen. I don't know how they'd have to plan it. I don't know if it's Raw or SmackDown that comes before the moment before. No, this is my thinking. Cena says there's one title that's eluded him and he's never won it to become a Grand Slam champion. He goes on to face Gunther and loses, and that is the reason that Gunther beats the honky tonk man record. I would because that puts him over in such a big way.
It'd be a good way to do it, but I think the record's enough, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know.
I think Cena needs to win his next match in a weird way because he's kind of become he's lost now. Like it's weird saying that.
He beat Theory.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
No, Theory won. Theory won.
Oh, you're wrong. There you go. You're wrong. I knew you were wrong.
Theory smashed him.
He just didn't feel like he did because it went nowhere.
And he upset all those children, and then they did nothing with it. And I was like, oh, dude. Because I actually thought that was Theory's coming out moment. Oh, my God.
I thought it was going to be...
He's beat Cena at Mania. Bloody hell. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden...
I don't think personally he does much, especially on this kind of show. I believe if they're setting up a match for him, like, that's fair enough.
I think we'll see what's happening with him in this. Something that happens in Payback.
It will lead to the next
setting the seeds that's going to happen. Yeah,
I think it's Grayson Waller. I reckon it's the sequel. Sorry, dude. Sorry.
Yeah. So the last thing I'm going to say, I think they're playing it because of what you said, Sam. Like he can go back to Hollywood anytime he wants, but they'd be foolish not to explore a match with him at some point, potentially at the next pay-per-view, because that's only a few weeks down the line.
I think he's having one tonight with Grayson Waller. That's what my
wow. I could kind of see that. Cena's the kind of guy that does come out and just take his top off and go, "Let's go ring the bell."
Yeah,
he's always in jorts.
I think he flattened him. I think he beats him up. But I reckon we're going to see you remember Money in the Bank where Waller came out and was an absolute dick? I think we're going to see that again. And am I allowed to say dick on this? Or
sure.
You've already said it now.
I've said it twice now. Yeah, but that's one of the ones they let us say on Give Me a Hole. Yeah, as long as I use it sparingly. I reckon Waller gives him some grief. They have a little bit of a conversation about what they talked about last time. They don't mention the UK WrestleMania thing because it doesn't matter here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But I reckon they have a quick match because the real reason I think Cena's here, not just because of the writer's strike, it's because we all need cheering up because we've just lost Bray Wyatt. That is why I think why Cena is here. Cena is here to cheer us all up. And what better way than being Big Match John and beating up a loudmouth git of a heel in 2 seconds flat. Yeah, I reckon. And also 6 matches on the card is a little bit thin. So my money is on a match with Grayson Waller in the middle of a card.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that, but I could definitely see it happening. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think John Cena is going to be getting up to tonight. Will it be just that simple kind of, hey, welcome to Payback? Or will he get involved in a little one, back and forth in the ring with someone on the mic? Or will it go further than that and we actually see physicality in the form of a match? Right, going to bring up what I think is the right video now for Dan.
Side of a steel cage.
No, that's the wrong one.
The wrong one.
I forgot.
Now, I think John Cena should run for president now, actually seeing that. It was very presidential.
Rock's meant to be it first. Come on, guys. Right, here we go. Here we got the right one from Dan, I think.
Taking on Raquel Rodriguez for the WWE Women's World Championship. Quite straightforward, this one. It's going to be a Rhea Ripley victory all day long. I don't see them putting the Women's Championship on Raquel or indeed taking it off of Rhea anytime soon. I think with Rhea, with Raquel, they're going to be waiting for Liv to come back and put them into a tag team championship feud once again, alongside, I guess it's Chelsea Green and Piper Niven now, I think it is. The former Doudrop, who, we interviewed back on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel a while ago. Go back and check that out. Nice little plug.
He's like
there.
Rain Man.
But yeah, Rhea Ripley, obviously someone else that we interviewed. Go back and check that one out as well.
Oh, and it's like Rhea there as well.
Taking on, Raquel Rodriguez. Go and for that one, it's going to be, as I say, quite simply a Rhea Ripley victory.
Nice one, Dan. Working overtime even when he's not here. You gotta love to see it.
Get over you calling Dan Rayman.
I'm relieved.
I missed that.
I get grief, I get grief from Dom and the guys because when I'm a walking billboard when we go to press or wrestling events. I've got the hat on. I've got like you saw me, Scott, at Money in the Bank. I had the WrestleSphere hoodie on.
Yeah,
I had the hat. I was doing all of this, and the guys are like, "Sam, turn it off." And it's like, look, when you've been a marketing director once, you can't turn it off.
Can't let it go.
No, it's like anyway, it's why I'm in my house. But anyway, don't do that anymore. But so I'm glad that Dan is doing that too, and he's flying the flag for you because someone needs to. Yeah,
we've got to do that. With that in mind, Sam, why don't you tell the people where they can find your stuff actually while we're on the subject?
Crime Watch. No. So in about 50 minutes, we'll be going live on the Give Me a Holy Air podcast. We'll be covering Payback. You guys are welcome to join me if you want. But I know Scott's got a date with his new... Oh, you can say wife now, Scott. It's weird, isn't it?
Look at the ring.
Hey, I've got one too. It's all downhill. It's all downhill. Run. No, I'm joking. In the words of Bray Wyatt. Run. No, Laura will be watching this and she'll be like, you prick, I invited you to the night, dude. But no, I've meant to say congratulations, by the way. So
thank you.
And apologies. I think like I was really, really busy at the time, and I really should have got back to you about that, and I feel gutted that I didn't. So my apologies. I hope you had a great day. Good, what was the question?
Beautiful.
Where can
they find
me? Yes, I've had 2 beers now. So yeah, Give Me a Holy Air podcast, which is us playing with our friends, watching wrestling, and that's where you'll hear our opinions. They're all savoury usually, but then there's WrestleSphere, which is actually a much more journalistic endeavour. A little bit like you guys with Rebellious Noise. It's a case of interviewing wrestlers, writing features. We're certainly not a dirt sheet. We've got a real problem with dirt sheets, but we still do a bit of news. But the purpose of WrestleSphere is features and interviews. But yeah, there's a little bit of overlap with Give Me a Holy Air, but they are 2 different things. But that's where you can find me. Oh, and if you're into video games, I work for Deserto. That's actually my day job as a journalist for them, reviewing, writing about lots of different video games, which is a dream come true job. But yeah, that's the 3 places you can find me. That and Crime Watch.
And every now and then on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel is a fantastic guest. Daniel says he's going to be joining you later on, of course. Knows all about the gimmick, so he'll be there to watch it in full swing. And again, appreciate everyone that's joined us here. But we do encourage you to go check out Give Me a Whole Year later on, because we don't really do watch alongs that often. We do them for classic pay-per-views every now and then, and sometimes where the time zone works, the Saudi shows and things like that. But yeah, we don't usually do the watch along, so we always encourage people to try and go over to Give Me a Whole Year, because they're great guys over there doing quite similar stuff to us. But of course, we've all got our own kind of different approach and flavors and stuff like that. That's why we love having them over here, and we love joining them on their channels as well. So let's move on to the next batch, because we've had a bit of a love fest here, but we're going to move away from the love and we're going to get to a real grudge match with a steel cage match. It's the only way you settle a big feud like this, guys. It's in the middle of a steel cage. Of course, a big part of this one is the whole gimmick of the cage is going to keep someone out, right? So
well, is this...
Stratus, go ahead.
Andy Spores made a joke about that image last night. He was like, "Is this a cage? Is this a cage match, or is it a Fleetwood Mac concert?" And now I can't unsee it. but anyway,
it's a tribute show. But yeah, we're going to see, of course, Trish Stratus. I guess going at it on her own. That's the idea of a steel cage, to keep her body out to prevent kind of interruption in the match, and Becky kind of being forced to have a 2-on-1 situation. But to be fair, Becky took care of Zoe on Raw a few days ago anyway, so it's looking good from Becky. And if you start booking in a kind of reverse on the go home, then that person never really wins if they look good on the Raw. Then you could be looking at this as a Trish Stratus victory. But this feud's been going on for quite a while, guys, so it feels like it needs to wrap up in some way quite soon. I've gone first a few times, so this time we're going to go, Rob. You're going to go first, buddy. Who's going over, Trish Stratus, or is it a Becky Lynch victory?
Just quickly, is the rule that they're winning via pinfall only?
I don't know if they've said.
Right, okay.
The WWE rules are it's usually pinfall or escaping the cage.
Oh, escape. It is, yeah.
Or
door over the top or pin in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? Honestly, I never thought I'd say this about a Becky Lynch match. I don't care. Bro,
it's your job to care, dude.
it's hard, man. The whole build up for this, winning the tag titles and then turning on them, and then Lita was there, and now Lita's nowhere to be.
It was really good though, Rob. Like, we were praising it a few months ago.
The way it was
it's been too long.
Yeah, but we said, I think it may have been me or one of us said, "Oh, she's turning tonight," and she turned tonight. That night, like we knew, we could see it happen.
That's okay. Sometimes that's all right. Do the
but the term wasn't good.
It wasn't executed great, but I stand by it. I think Triple H, Trish Stratus has done some fantastic work as a heel. I think it's been a bit.
She has done good work,
up and down, but I think it's been a great opportunity for her, and I think she's shone. I just think that the feud is awkwardly gone on a bit long. Becky herself kind of said this recently as well, outside of being in character. So it does feel like it's coming to an end. So I know you're not excited, Rob, but who's winning?
Look, I think to get rid of this completely, Becky needs to win. However, I feel like there is going to be some sort of interference. I don't know who's going to win, to be honest.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. They've just announced John Cena is the special guest referee for the match between LA Knight and The Miz. Just announced on the pre-show.
Whoa! Okay, all right.
So there we are.
Yeah,
we'll get back to Trish and Becky in a second, but
well,
there goes my fantasy book.
On the pre-show, and they're now showing us the highlight package for Miz and LA Knight, but they confirmed with a graphic that had John Cena in the stripy referee shirt mode. He is a special guest referee, not enforcer. So he's in the ring, counting the pinfall. I always never understood the enforcer thing. They don't do anything. They're just down the outside looking moody. Yeah. But he is a special guest referee. So sorry, I thought I'd break that.
That's cool.
No, brilliant. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what the build-up show is here for.
Mhm.
That's what I'm staring at, by the way. That's what I'm staring at off screen. I've got it on the other screen.
Yeah, I've got it.
Look,
Right, my iPad is a TV. Hence we see the flickering, I guess. And like, yeah, I keep them updated on this kind of stuff. But yeah, it looks weird at being an arena as well, because obviously, haven't the last 3 all been stadiums? And
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're just seeing
yeah.
AEW as well, just done the same thing. It will be, yeah, I'm not watching the pre-show myself, but of course, we like to treat this as a bit of a pre-show watch-along, so it's great to get the update there from Lucas. Before we do go back to Trish and Becky, we don't, we say these predictions are locked in and stuff like that. When something changes big like that, we do usually give us the opportunity on the build-up show to change, because the dynamics of the matches change. Usually, if it's a triple threat, you can't end the opportunity again. But I would say the referee, special guest referee, is a good enough reason as well. I'll be honest though, guys, it doesn't change my prediction.
No, me
I will.
either.
I will give you guys a chance. Rob, you say it wouldn't change yours?
No.
And if anything, it makes me look forward. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this match a lot. It makes me look forward to it even more, because the Miz and Cena have already had stuff go on at Mania. It's a way to give someone the rub at the end. So
it is weird for Cena's kind of thing, though, right? Like, where does Cena go after this? Does that mean he goes into something with LA Knight?
Nah, man. I think Cena gives LA Knight a rub tonight as a way of pushing it forward. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Like I said, I put the Miz winning because I want to see it go on more. But if LA Knight does win, look, I'm happy to lose a point for the sake of like what it is. I mean, if we've done this the normal way, we'll be able to change our mind. So like, I want to stick with the same thing.
Is it weird that I'll be down for a Cena and Miz match? Like, I'll be down.
Yeah.
For that. If that's what happens, I'll be down for that happening, existing. It's
2011 all over again.
It's been a while. Yeah, I'll be up for that. I'm not against it.
There could be a lot worse ways to use him. Cena gets his match. Like they can do the whole Hollywood star kind of gimmick that they like doing.
Oh yeah.
Cena's a massive fan of the Miz as well. Like, I don't know if people saw the WWE24 they did in the Miz around. I think it was during COVID, that whole thing. But Cena championed him a lot. Like, his work ethic, matches Cena's like, a lot. And so I think it couldn't be a bad shout. But yeah, I wouldn't change the prediction. I think with it, if anything, it pushes me more towards an LA Knight win, and most likely now by a clean pinfall. And yeah, Cena being the referee doesn't really change that. I guess there'd be some confrontation with him and the Miz, obviously.
Yeah.
And like take the AA afterwards. But yeah, I think it'd be a fun little match now.
Sorry, I was going to say, if that is the case, then do you not think it would make? I don't want to sway you, but would it not make more sense for Miz to win, being the fact that Miz done something to Cena? Or do you know what I mean? There's a reason something happened.
I think there'd have to be for that. There'd have to either be another referee counting the pin. Like, I think.
Yeah.
Cena counting a pin for the Miz, like that's not
the
sense.
There has to be something.
Do the whole like referee down, then another referee comes in, and I don't know. Like, I know Cena's involved with this now, but are they wasting that whole kind of shenanigans with that match when they're going to have obviously a steel cage match, which, as we know, the other person meant to be out the ring, but they're not going to be out the ring. Like, it never happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for me, it doesn't overcomplicate it too much. Cena a referee, Miz will eat an AA at some point, either in the match or after match. It doesn't really matter. They may or may not set up a match between the Miz and Cena afterwards. Again, that doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah.
Because at this point, they're just thinking tonight, just get an AA on the show, essentially. That's the right of the task. Get an AA on the show. Who do you do it to? Do you do it to one of the world champions? Does he do it to... or did you do it to one of the tag team champions or the people competing for the tag belts? Or we got this match that, hey, people are kind of interested in. Add Cena to it, get a viral moment or whatever. Cena goes off. Because again, it's just about keeping good. Again, they probably got instructions from Cena's insurance people as well. Like, intensively, if he's called to set tomorrow, he can't be going to set with, teeth missing.
Up.
Yeah, banged up.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is interesting though.
Too much. I know Rob goes into these Rob mode, I call it. But yeah, I don't think it overcomplicates too much. It's just an easier way for LA Knight to win, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's what. Yeah, it is quite interesting that it's not changed our votes, I guess, are, but we're still different. Rob is still different from me and you, Lucas. Of course, there's no scores at stake here for you, Sam, but if does it sway what you think will happen in this match, John Cena being involved?
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's going to change the outcome.
Who did you say LA Knight, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've absolutely got LA Knight to win. Wait a minute. I forgot what match we're talking about. Remind me.
LA Knight, The Miz.
Yeah. So I'm sticking with LA Knight. I'm absolutely sticking with LA Knight. Sorry, I didn't know we'd go on to another match. But then I thought we have to go back because he's seen as interjected. But yeah, I'm not changing my pick. I still think it's LA Knight has to get the win. It's a weird one. I wonder if someone will interfere and pick a fight with Cena, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
And that could lead it to go elsewhere. But it's a strange thing for him to be interjected into. I know he's got a lot of history with The Miz. And I don't know if that needs to be dug up again. I don't know what there is to gain from that. But
unless Jey Uso maybe is a way of setting that up. Sorry to cut you off.
It's a weird way.
No, it's a good way. That's a good one.
I just think I think it's just what I said it was earlier on, that even a segment backstage with LA Knight, it's about being in the ring with LA Knight. I think that's all it is to
I think adding anyone else to make it messy, and you're just burying this match underneath everything else. When you could just do the match. Cena, all he has to do is get his entrance, have a bit of back and forth with The Miz, in the match, AA him afterwards. You've got all your moments you need. You've got enough. If they want to do him against The Miz on TV or the next pay-per-view next month, they've got the moment already that it started from. But I think adding Jey Uso, I don't get it. It'd be nice, as well, I'm going to say this later on, but it's actually nice having a bloodline-free night. I was getting a bit.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
40-minute talk shows, masquerading as matches, being the main event. It's just, I think they need to pause it because there's nowhere for it to go. Unless they're going to start digging up family members, and bringing them. I think here's Yokozuna.
Hard disagree on the bloodline stuff. Hard disagree because I think I do know where it's going, and I think it's genius. But
really,
yeah.
So I feel like I'm lost with it, and I feel like it's lost. I've loved it so much. Don't get me wrong. I feel a bit lost at the moment.
Do you know what's going on? Like this is my opinion, but there's a lot of there's a bit of evidence in there too. So they've got to spin the wheels with the bloodline thing until they get to WrestleMania, where I'm of the view, and I think WWE is also of the view that this has got to be Cody versus Roman 2, but this time he's got, because that is right now what is penciled in officially. So this isn't speculation necessarily on my part. But they've got to get there. And to get there, they've got to get there with Roman Reigns being the head of the table or the tribal chief without a tribe, head of an empty table. And that's the whole bloodline story is going to the point where Roman is on his own. Everybody else has turned against him. And it makes sense to have some Uso drama between the Usos in between that. I feel like that's where it fell off a bit when Jimmy turned on Jay. That's what turned a lot of people to go, oh, what? But before that, it was money. It was still money. But I do kind of like that they're letting it breathe. But it's just they're lurking in the background. But I suspect the bloodline story isn't over. It's just taking a little bit of a breather while they focus on Judgment Day and things like that.
Yeah, fine. That's fine.
But
I think
this bloodline stuff isn't done. It's not done until, in my view, Jimmy, Jay, Solo, and Solo needs to be the last person to turn on Roman. Solo needs to be the person he's abusing. Roman's only got Solo left, and he's screaming in his face. He's calling him trash. He's calling him useless. And Solo he's got his brothers in his ears saying, enough with Roman. He's an abuser. Enough with him. Enough. Solo just Samoan spikes the ever-loving crap out of him and leaves. Joins his brothers. Maybe even Sami is there with them. They look back at Roman. Sorry, mate. You're on your own. And on his own.
You argue that they already got to that point, though, like at Money in the Bank.
No, I don't think. No. I don't think they've ever got to that point. Not like that. No, he's always had some cronies. I'm talking about Roman alone, vulnerable, the big
Yeah,
dog.
no, but I mean, the stages you just described them, which is Roman and Solo, they already had that among the band.
Yeah, I know, but Solo hadn't turned on it. What I'm saying is everybody, I'm saying he's got no Heyman at this point. The drama between the Usos is resolved. I'm at the point where everybody else is in the other tribe now.
Yeah.
Everybody else is babyface and looking back at Roman. I'm talking WrestleMania 40. Roman is on his own and can't do it on his own because ultimately this story has been about brotherhood. It's been about gaslighting, bullying, abuse, family, blood not being thicker than water has been a colossal theme of it as well, particularly with the whole Sami Zayn stuff. And I think that what was once the bloodline will be separate from Roman altogether again. Looking back at it, Solo is the last domino to fall, but that domino can't fall until we are much closer to this inevitability, if it is indeed one of those. And that's where Cody does it. It didn't make. I look back at Mania, and it didn't make sense to do it there because Roman started all his cronies around him. It makes sense to do it when he's alone because the whole story needs to be being this level of abuser that Roman Reigns has been makes you the villain, makes you the ultimate villain, and escaping out from underneath that is where you need to be. And sorry, I feel like we've gone off on a tangent, but
that's what we're here for, mate.
Yeah, man. But with the bloodline stuff, that's why I believe it needs to go down this little fragmented route before we can get back on track again. But has it petered off a little bit? Yeah, of course it has.
Yeah.
But it'll come back. But they've got to spin the wheels until WrestleMania. And on that note, I'm just going to go for a quick week. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I mean, with that, I agree with a lot of what you're saying as well, Sam. We'll shove you out. But I think it has petered off. I think that is the end game for me. That's what I want it to be. But sadly, it's getting a little stale. But in order to make sure this show don't get stale, we're going to move back to the match we were talking about earlier on. Yeah, Daniel Wiley says Becky Lynch wins and also says that Lita returns to cost Trish the match. But let's go back to you, Rob. What was your kind of final decision as far as who you think's going to do this one, mate?
Look, I think in order to get rid of the Becky feud with Trish, it would make sense for Becky to win. But I think they need to put her in a position where she's going to be doing something else because after that, what's next for Becky? It'll be Ripley or Sky. That's if she's still the champion at that point. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like there needs to be something. And if Becky goes against Ripley and Becky loses, it's just an awkward. Like it's not now. Now isn't that time. So I reckon there's going to be interference and maybe from someone else, and then that's the reason that Trish wins. So I'm going for a Trish win. But I believe
it's building a new stable sort of thing, maybe.
Possibly. I'm not against that, but I can see Trish. I reckon Stark will be there. She'll try and do something that won't work, and then that's where we'll get the next woman from, like a third woman.
I got you. All right. Well, with that in mind, let's swing it around to Lucas. Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch. Who's winning?
So cage matches in WWE history, they do, I believe overall they do kind of favour the villain winning. But I feel with this, because they've stretched it out like so long, that the only way really is that Becky's got to win. I'd quite like this match to be main event, to be fair. It's the cage. I'm a big fan of the cage match.
Yeah.
Favourite stipulation match. It's one of those where, obviously Zoe Stark will get involved. She'll have a climb over, but I think that'll be just to eat something. But I think if Trish wins, and that's the end of the feud, I think unless they're going to do the whole, usually if Trish was champion, she could do the whole back of the line. But when it's not for belt, it's kind of hard because Becky could just keep going, one more match. But I don't think it's got legs past this, even if they were to introduce other people. So with that being said, and with how WWE are, because at their heart, we forget WWE are the good guys overcome the bad guys. That's what traditionally we grew up with in wrestling. Yeah. Whether you grew up in the Hulk Hogan era, whether you grew up with Bret Hart, or obviously Stone Cold and people past that, Cena, etc. Like, it's always been good overcomes evil, essentially. And I don't see why they'd change that formula now, particularly with a few that already, I think it didn't have like a no DQ match a few weeks ago as well.
I'll be honest, mate, I can't remember what they've done.
To really something drag.
And it just feels a bit like that. Felt like it was already the end to me. Like that's how they were presenting it anyway. But obviously, as with WWE, they always have this in mind anyway. But yeah, I'd see no reason for it to continue. So I would go with Becky Lynch to win.
All right, and just to clear things up, while Sam was away, we did see a comment from Daniel Wiley that mentioned the possibility of Lita. I've seen a few people say this online about Lita because, of course, she was somewhat involved with the feud, as Rob said earlier on. Not anymore. I personally don't see it going that way, but I understand where people are coming from. I think that Becky Lynch just...
Well, even if she takes out Stark.
Yeah. To kind of even things up. That's a good point.
That's a great shout.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be a...
You can have Stark getting into the ring. Lita comes in. I reckon she got a cage dive in her left.
Actually, I really like that. When you put it like that, and then it could go into a Lita Trish feud, like for the the modern kind of era. I won't be opposed to seeing that, and it kind of because I think Trish needs to stick around as well. I think she's done a great job. I don't think it should be it, but I do think Becky Lynch should be ultimately coming out of this feud, not just as the babyface, but as the kind of modern star as well. I think it's a nice kind of moment for her to beat Trish in a kind of big match. And talking about big match, Lucas, you're right. I think any other time this could potentially have the argument for being the main event, but I don't think this feud has kind of been presented in that way, sadly, because it has quite tapered off quite a bit in recent months. But Sam, what are you thinking, mate? Trish, Becky, did we see Lita? What's going on?
I agree with everybody who said this needs to end because it really bloody does. I'm a bit bored of it, and I love everybody involved as well. Like Becky Lynch is awesome, just objectively. Trish is, when she says thank you, Trish, I'm kind of like there with her a little bit. But this is, and I think she's been really funny as a heel as well. I don't feel like we've ever kind of seen it this way. And so, but I need this story to end because where the hell do you go from here? Flipping a death match? Like what more do you do? It's got to end. I kind of like. I don't know where it's going to end. I think Becky has to win to get Becky kind of back into reminding us who she is. And Trish doesn't need the rub where Becky's like a star of today. So Trish doesn't need anything. She's got nothing to prove to anybody. Not that Becky does, but you know what I mean. But I like the idea of maybe her losing. Trish losing, blaming it on Zoe Stark turning babyface, and maybe her then feuding with Zoe Stark and building up Stark as a character. Or do we see a situation where they flip it, those two stay together, and does Trish perhaps become a Paul Heyman figure for Zoe Stark as her, like Zoe Stark is my beast, I'm her, and becomes a bit of a manager, a bit of a valet for Stark, and help because Stark struggles. Say again, mate.
I think Trish can still go though. Like I think.
Oh yeah, but not forever. And they do need to start building people. I love the idea of because let's be honest, Zoe Stark is great in the ring. The minute she has a microphone, I'm like, oh no, oh no. And but so she doesn't need to be good at promos because she's a killer and she's legit in real life as well. So give her a mouthpiece. Give her someone like that. That's where they went wrong with Ronda Rousey. She should have had him out. Should have had Paul Heyman or someone like that. Yeah, it's where they went wrong. They should probably do it with Shayna Baszler too. But I'd like to see that. I'd like to stop making this about Lynch and Stratus and start making this about Zoe Stark.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm up for that as well. I think that's the whole kind of thing when you see this kind of legend with the new character. It's the new character that ultimately needs to benefit at the end of it. And somehow we've got that with a Becky thing. And I think that's why we're all kind of going for a Becky win as well. Apart from Rob. But I think realistically beyond that, the real story is Zoe. And I hope for that, for two reasons, that Trish don't go away because I'm enjoying what she's doing. But also because she can't just leave Zoe here, Zoe could kind of accidentally cost her and Trish kind of gets upset and goes away. But really, there's a feud to make out of those two as well. And even if Lita comes back tonight, then maybe it's Lita and Trish, and then that's the feud that Zoe kind of steps out of line in Trish's eyes, you know. So a lot of potential here, and ultimately, as much as I want to see more Trish, more Zoe, and more Becky, I want to see them completely separate from this actual feud here, which is a shame because it's kind of a dream feud, but it's not quite worked out that way. Even though it's had its good moments, it's kind of
more of a night
of an awkward time.
It's time to wake up from the dream. Time to wake up from the dream.
Yeah. On that note, we'll bring up Dan's like a fever dream. Dan's
Stratus versus Becky Lynch inside of a steel cage. Now, for this one, I would probably have to go with a Becky Lynch victory. Don't see any reason that Trish would win this. Would not be surprised if we get Zoe Stark and potentially Lita interfering in this, although that's not going to be bonus pointed. But yeah, I think it will be a clean win for Becky Lynch in this one, just because I feel as though it's coming to kind of like the culmination of this feud, and you know, this was meant to obviously go down at SummerSlam, but for some reason they are doing it here at Payback instead.
Yeah, that is a shame. I think it does feel like a SummerSlam match and ending kind of the feud and stuff like that. As Lucas said earlier on, the big steel cage as well should be should be used on a show like that. But hey, it wasn't to be. What might be though is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn losing their tag titles to a team that look like they're in a bit of trouble at the moment, not quite getting along. But that could all kind of play into the plan, whether that plays into the plan of storytelling or the actual story itself of the Judgment Day kind of being like, we fooled everyone. Hey, we are the champions, as the great Freddie Mercury once said. Right, because I'm just like AEW. I've got as many Queen things to shove in as I can. Right. I enjoy them, don't get me wrong. Right, so the Judgment Day, will they leave with all the titles? And I want to talk about this one here because I know the main event's coming up later on, and I'm sure some people do want to talk about the potential about one of these guys kind of being involved with that as well. But going on Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, I'll go first. There was always going to be a time where they lose the titles, and for me, I think it should be tonight. I don't know where, like, I know the typical turn on each other and stuff like that, but you can't do that with the belts anyway because it devalues the belts, even though Shayna and Ronda did that recently, annoyingly. But so I won't be surprised if those two end up fighting each other in a few months' time. But what we really need, in my opinion, is a continuation of this Judgment Day feud. And I'll hold back some of my thoughts for later on because, again, the world title picture as well. But I do think coming out of this, it should be the Judgment Day with pretty much all the gold, an Evolution, Undisputed Era type situation for me. And I think it will be kind of, whether we're swerving people just from a writer's perspective or swerving people as in the characters are saying, we swerved everyone, we're actually getting on fine. I don't know which route they're going down, but in some ways I think, in either way, I think there's going to be a swerve because I think the Judgment Day should win the titles. I don't think, as much as I know there's a history between Kevin and Sami, that story is done now as far as the Judgment Day situation. They've only had a few defenses. They've only had a few pay-per-view appearances. And really all they needed to do was stretch it out a few months to make it not feel like a hot potato and feel like it was worth giving them the titles after the Usos' strong reign. So, yeah, for me, I want it to be the Judgment Day. And I'm going to say it will be the Judgment Day. So locking mine in there, and what we'll do is we'll spin it around to Sam next. Sam, what are you thinking, mate? Again, no points, no horse in this race, so to speak, on this channel at least. But if you did have to hedge your bets, where would they be?
Oh, mate, if on Hull year, I never win the belt because I'll always just pick the thing everybody else doesn't pick. And Dom loses his absolute mind at me when I do that.
Lucas is a bit like that, to be fair.
Well, I'll do it sometimes just to wind them all up and watch them all go ape. But anyway, so I agree with what Daniel Wiley has just said here. So I think I have to disagree. I don't think it's time for Sami and Kevin to lose yet. I feel like we've seen them feud before. I think they're going to have to do something a lot cleverer this time with that. But I think Priest and Finn are going to have some malfunctions. Things are going to go wrong. They're going to blame each other for cost. They're going to lose the match and they're going to blame each other and maybe turn on each other. Finn will be like, this is the third time now you have cost me a championship. The third time. And later on, I reckon Bloodline will interfere. They'll beat up. I reckon Shinsuke Nakamura, his strategy for attacking Rollins will pay off, attacking his back. And he'll really work that back. And just when Shinsuke has Seth vulnerable, maybe due to some cheating as well, the Bloodline interfere. They beat up Shin. They beat up Seth. He cashes in. Damian Priest cashes in, becomes the champ, and he's about to become the champion. Finn Balor scuppers his cash in.
Oh, is that where we're going already?
Well, or I think JD McDonough needs to play into this somehow as well. I think either JD McDonough and Priest are working against Finn in cahoots, or Finn kicks out what's he called? Priest.
Yeah,
and he's the one. He brings in JD McDonough, but there's also the case that Priest could succeed, and the only person without a belt is Balor. And come Monday Night Raw, Rhea Ripley follows through with her threat, and Balor is out of the Judgment Day. And maybe JD McDonough is in. Maybe they form a tag team. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think the whole purpose of this match, I think Sami and Kevin are safe retaining.
Right.
But the whole purpose of this tag match is to make the drama explode. And Finn, if he does ruin Priest's cashing attempts, could go, that's payback.
Hey, he's written it and he's signed, sealed, delivered it. That's a good.
Oh mate, I'm just waiting for the phone call from WWE. At this point, I'm working for free.
No, I get where you're coming from, and I do think that is what they're kind of leading us towards. I just don't know if it's just yet. But then I also say the argument of, is it really the time to take the titles off of the champs as well? So yeah, maybe not. I actually think though that JD McDonough is going to help them win the titles. So that's kind of where I'm going with it there. And I'll touch on the potential Money in the Bank thing later on as well. Let's bring it around to Lucas this time.
Okay. So it's a street fight as well, isn't it? The Steel City.
Good point.
Anyone can interfere.
Yeah, good point. I didn't even think of that.
Lazy means no rules, anything happened, lazy booking.
All right, Jim.
It's annoying because both stories suit WWE's way of booking tag teams because they only book tag teams from a singles perspective. So obviously Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn are ready to go at a feud at the drop of a hat. Literally, if they had another, volcanic hash incident and, all their superstars got stranded, or they had the whole Saudi thing where people didn't come back home on a plane, and all they had in the locker room was Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and a few mid-carders, they'd go, right, tonight the big angle is Kevin turns on Sami in the main event, and we're going with that as the feud. Because it is ready to go like that at any moment. Then obviously you've got this Damian Priest and Finn Balor stuff, which is very interesting, and then winning the belts. Now, I know WWE will pretend that they don't pay attention to AEW, but they do. Because it's their competition, they're going to. And I think because AEW are already doing a strange bedfellows tag team as with the tag belts and the title involved, and is there going to be a turn, blah, blah. I don't think they're going to do the same thing. I think, honestly, before All In, I would have predicted or been close to predicting the other way.
Yeah.
That, yes, they're going to do this story, but they do it all the time. Where they do, the two people who can't get along are now the tag champs. Oh, how will they ever coexist? Yeah. They've been doing it since the Mega Powers, and then, with them imploding and stuff, almost 40 years ago. Oh, God, we're old. But I think now they won't do it because of that. They've already got their competitors doing the same story. There's a conflict of interest, and I guess they could say, we're going to do it better. But I don't see any reason. I'm with Sam in the sense where I think there's more to be gained here from Kevin and Sami retaining. They're still very popular. Been a lot of doom and gloom lately. Them winning, like, I think again is another nice moment. So I would go with them retaining the tag belts.
All right, yeah, that is the beauty of it. I mean, I am quite strong coming into this of why I think it, and I hear you guys say it, and I'm like, you know what, that makes sense, and I wouldn't be upset with that either. So yeah, interesting to see where Rob goes with the influences that we've tried to put over him there as well. So Rob, what you think, mate? Is it retention for Sami and KO, or are we moving on to the Judgment Day?
I'll be honest, I completely forgot who the tag champions were at this point until you. I mean, after the Bloodline stuff, they've done a couple of title runs. They've done something with the Street Profits, if I remember rightly.
Didn't they
exactly, but what what do you do with them if I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens' face on the back of a milk carton because they went disappeared for a while. So
what do you mean? They sat upstairs at Money in the Bank?
Oh yeah.
What seats and all of us?
That just highlighted it, didn't it? That's all that did. I actually went to the toilet and I came back, and the lovely fella I was sitting next to at Money in the Bank went, "Sami and Kevin are upstairs," and he was such a nice guy, and he's a Hulkamaniac now as well. Yeah, but anyway, and he always selling. I'm always selling, and I said my response to him was, "Oh, why aren't they over there? Where the ring is? Why are they up there?" Well, yeah, so that sums it up, Rob, doesn't it? That just sums it up.
It does. Look, like I said, I forgot who they were. Well, I forgot who the tag title champions were. So in that respect, it says a lot. Hello, I have a little fantasy booking, which I would love to happen, which would be Finn and Priest lose. But Priest does have the Money in the Bank, right? That can be cashed in on any title. So what if Finn is so desperate to have a title that he cashes it in on the behalf of Priest straight after the match? So then he has more of a chance to become a champion.
It's kind of
do that?
Priest's thing. Like
he wastes the Money in the Bank. Well, it doesn't waste it, but
they get it, or they could lose though. Like, I like that though. I do like that.
So
yeah. Good idea.
So I'm gonna say for the prediction that Finn Bálor and Damian Priest will walk out as the tag team champions.
Oh, but who's winning the
bonus
match?
Point.
So your bonus point. Who's winning the match?
Owens and Zayn.
Owens and Zayn. Oh, but you're not going to bonus point the other one then.
No, well, that's what I said. How do you want me to do it? So
you can bonus point if you want. You can just say who wins the match. KO and Zayn. You think they're going to win the match, but if you want to really be confident with it and say that they're still going to leave with the titles, which is an incredible pick if it does come true. But it's a risky one, as you know. Bonus point if you get it wrong, you lose a point as well.
Listen. I've already won the booking thing. What that thing once. Like I feel like Arsenal. I won't get an invincible season again for a while.
Hey, come
on. So look, I'm gonna put a bonus point on it. So
I like the idea. Don't get me wrong. I do like it, but it's a bold move. Quick comment here from Daniel Wiley once again. Street Profits will make Sami and Kevin Costa titles with Bobby Lashley spearing Finn and Priest. Yeah, a lot of kind of interesting, possibilities there with Street Profits now working with Bobby Lashley as well, who did, by the way, a fantastic spear in a suit the other day. What a man.
Yes.
To be able to pull that off as well. We are kind of very fine, guys. We're moving straight into, we've got an extra hour more than I believe we would have had. But we are just 11 minutes away now from the actual show itself. Stay tuned, guys. We're going to kind of wrap things up, of course, with the main event itself. But before we do that, I'll kind of touch on quickly what I think is going to go on with. What was that, sorry?
We've got one more match as well, Rey Mysterio and Austin Theory.
Oh, all right, okay.
Rey Mysterio retains. Rey Mysterio retains.
Let's do a very quick version of that. Mine is Rey retains, but Santos Escobar batters him afterwards.
Yes. I agree completely.
We all on the same page with that?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to just put in the thing. Everyone says what Rey.
I feel so disrespectful of Rey Mysterio.
But Santos Escobar, I reckon, we'll attack. I'm not going to bonus point it because I just think it's going to be outside the match and interesting because I think there's no point in him making him lose the title, because Theory having the title doesn't make sense. It's about giving Escobar that title in the future, in my opinion. So there we go.
Yeah.
And good luck to him. You know, we got to meet him, of course. I know Sam,
I think it'd be a really good match for the one.
Me too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
But, by the way, all the pre-show panel think that Austin Theory's going to win. We're talking about the same.
Oh, of course they do. Look, I thought Austin Theory's losing his way, and that's another conversation for another time.
Yes.
But I think it's a clear thing for Santos to kind of do something soon. I was going to say, I know Sam got to meet him as I did on the same day. Lovely guy, I'm sure Sam would agree. Check out the interview that he did on WrestleSphere, and check out the one, of course, he did here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel as well. Now, before we get out of here, of course, we will get to the main event itself, Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I'll be very quick with this one as well, guys. I don't think Finn is going to kind of cost the briefcase situation with Priest or anything like that, because I think they're winning the titles. I think it's going to be a happy ending, and I think this tag title match is to make you think something might happen, and also kind of solve the issue of the tag titles not being used and Judgment Day needing to look strong for a bit. So my opinion is that Priest isn't cashing in tonight, and he's actually but I could definitely see it, don't get me wrong. I think this is all about them winning the tag titles to kind of drag this out a little bit longer, and then maybe eventually we have something else going on with the briefcase again. But yeah, for me, Seth Rollins is going to win it, as much as I love to see Nakamura, because you think they've created this secondary title. Let's not pretend it isn't, but at the moment it's still secondary, it's still growing. This is the perfect time to finally give Nakamura a world title in WWE, which of course he does deserve. But I've fallen in this trap so many times, guys, where I think, you know what, this is the time. This is when no, it's not. It's to get Seth to the next storyline. Sadly, that's what I believe this is. So Seth Rollins victory for me. Let's go on to Rob on this one.
Look, so if you've listened to Seth talking about, like on the Logan Paul podcast and a couple of other podcasts and reports coming in, he's banged up. You know, and they're talking about his back and stuff like that. And I don't know how much legitimacy is in what they've been talking about, but from what we've been seeing and being told, he's banged up, and he's been banged up for a while. Something to do with, like, I think it's the third vertebrae or the fourth vertebrae or something like that in his back. But he's still going. He said he struggles to get, from what I've read, he's still struggling to get out of bed at times. It flares up, but he has to heal him, like, you know, ice packs and stuff like that. So, I mean, he's done his duty for a while. You know, he's got himself over. He has the crowd singing. When I got to see him live in Sheffield, he had to shut us, the fans, up to get the match started because they were over by about 10-15 minutes. So yeah, look, I would say if anyone's deserved a little break because they've carried a lot of stuff on their shoulders, especially being a champion and being put in that position with Roman having a title as well. I think Seth has done his duty for that title. He's also done his duty as a wrestler and carrying things on his shoulders going forward. So I think he's entitled to a bit of a break and a bit of a time to heal up. So because of that, and because of his health, I think it's time. So let's give it to Shinsuke. Let's see what he does and actually see him become a champion.
Hey, I'm not against it, and I completely understand where you're coming from there with the rumors about Seth. Well, there's so much rumors, he's been saying it, and they've used it in storyline. Lucas, what do you reckon, mate? Nakamura, is it finally his time, or is Seth holding on to this for a little bit longer?
I would like it to be Nakamura's time, but I just don't see this. I don't know. I just don't think it. I don't think it is the right match for them to do it in. I guess it depends. I guess, like, if the thing with Judgment Day and the cash in and all that kind of stuff is just, like, you know, a distraction, and we return. Basically, if we're looking at this match isolated without Manda back existing, I think my pick would be Shinsuke. But I think Manda back existing, I think you've got Seth winning and being cashed in on at least is an option that would be preferred over
especially if they've hyped up the back and all this. Yeah.
But then also I'm just kind of like, does Seth just win? Does Seth just win? You know, and they send people home happy. It's been a bit of a weird week for wrestling, and, you know, kind of a few sad moments over the past couple of weeks. One thing I want to mention in this, and I keep showing it in this promo package, is I don't understand why other people stop the person from cashing in the briefcase. Like, I don't understand it. It's happened a few times, like in the past few years, but I've never understood it. It's like nothing to do with you. Like that's your, like it's someone cashing in. Like why do you like Cody? It's a Cody clip they keep showing, by the way. The bit where he is slid underneath his legs and he catches the briefcase and whacks it. Like, but I don't understand. Like, what's it got to do?
Boys, I'm just going to jump in. Sorry, I don't hold that thought just for a second. I'm going to have to love you and leave you because I've got a couple of things I've got to do before the Give me a hold. Yeah,
of course, we're getting close. Yeah,
it's been a pleasure. Sort of, but
sorry about everyone.
No, don't worry. I've got Rollins to retain. I'll catch you later.
Thanks again for joining us, man. Yeah, everyone go join the Give Me a Whole Year podcast in a moment to watch there and watch along. See you in a bit, mate. Thanks again.
But yeah, no, I don't see anything other than. I wish Rob didn't say what he just said. Why has Rob said that? Because
Rob mode.
I was very easy. Yeah, it's Rob mode. But I think it's so easy to overcomplicate these, isn't it? But we've seen it in the past where we sit here for like half an hour or whatever, all discussing theories and blah blah. Then we get to the show and then it's just, this person just wins 1, 2, 3, and that's it. All these other things that could have happened don't happen, and then we're like, and I think this might be one of them. It's just going to be a Seth Rollins retain, and then they go on to Raw and they sell the next one of these shows for next month with a new person. I mean, it is nice to have Shinsuke in that spot though, and
it's lovely.
Yeah,
he did deserve
a bit of sweet if it goes nowhere,
Yeah, he did deserve it, but I don't think it's time, sadly. And
all right,
yeah.
Brilliant. Right. Well, I forgot to actually mention Dan's predictions on the tag side, so quickly bring that up.
Tag Team Championship match, which will feature Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn taking on the Judgment Day team of Finn Bálor and Damian Priest. So, now part of me thinks that this is not going to be the actual match. I feel as though depending on, obviously, on card placement. This all depends on card placement. So card placement could be that Judgment Day lose here, then Priest cashes in later in the night. It could be a case that the Judgment Day win here, and then obviously the cash-in still happens. Or it could be that Dominic or JD McDonough jump in place of Damian Priest after he's already won the Money in the Bank, won the world title. So yeah, it's kind of a strange one, but I feel as though I'm going to go for Judgment Day to win this for some reason. It seems as though since Kevin and Sami won the titles, they've not really got an idea of what to do with them. Like, yes, the whole thing at WrestleMania was that they were going to beat the Usos, which they did, but to then obviously go forward, what really have they done? Not a great deal. And I feel as though the belts obviously would be better off on Judgment Day, as they are incredible. So for me, a Judgment Day victory in this match.
All right, so we haven't really touched on the possibility of Priest coming out of here with 2 titles, but then did have a part 2 to that, so I'll bring this on as well.
Match is a Steel City street fight between the Judgment Day, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I feel as though that is going to still be a Judgment Day victory.
Okay, so at the time of the original prediction, didn't realise the stipulation. And then we're going to quickly get to Dan's
World Heavyweight Championship
main event.
We have Seth freaking Rollins taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, for this one, I am going to go with a Seth Rollins victory in this match. It's a bit of a tricky one, actually, because I do feel as though there's going to be a Money in the Bank cash-in. So I will bonus point. I don't know whether we want to put it at the end of this match or whether we are just going to put it in general in the show. But I believe there will be a Damian Priest cash-in of his Money in the Bank briefcase at some point on this show. Whether the cash-in is successful is a different matter, but the bonus point I'm going to say is that the briefcase is officially cashed in.
Wow.
Perfect.
The awkward thing, though, I think, is whether it's going to be after Seth wins or whether they do the thing like what Rollins did at WrestleMania 31, where it turns into like a triple threat or something like that. But yeah, so I'm going to go with Seth. Yeah, so Seth's going to retain the championship, and then I feel as though it's going to be Damian Priest will cash in Money in the Bank. Yeah, so the bonus point is just for the cash-in itself.
Making this.
There will... Whether Priest leaves as champion in this is... that's, I guess, an irrelevant point in what I'm saying. So... Yeah, a Damian Priest cash-in for the bonus point following the conclusion of this match, which Seth Rollins is going to win.
Oh, well, he didn't fancy a take two. Bless him. Thanks for joining us, Dan. And he's very confident of a cash-in, so much so putting a bonus point on it. Daniel Wiley also thinks Priest cashes in.
Can I?
He's unsuccessful due to Balor's jealousy, and I definitely see that happening because, of course, that does feel like the natural way to go. But maybe anyway. What's that? Sorry?
Can I end this on a high?
You can, because, of course, the show is just kicking off.
Yeah,
thank you, everyone that's joined us, by the way. Let me get that in there. But, Rob, end this on a high for us.
Just for you, Scott. JD McDonough comes in after Priest and Balor have won it, and then they run the Freebird rule with Priest
don't you
as
dare.
the world champion.
Don't you dare. And on that note, everybody enjoy the show tonight. I really hope you've enjoyed our time here on a build-up. And, of course, we did talk about CM Punk's situation with AEW. If you haven't heard already, the man has been let go by the company. So go and check that video out if you haven't. I want to say thank you very much to Lucas for joining me. Thank you very much to Rob for joining me. Of course, for Dan for joining us virtually as well. And then on top of that, our buddy Sam from the Give Me a Whole Year podcast. If you haven't already, jump over to that stream right now and you can watch his reactions to the show as it goes on live because he's doing a watch along. But once again, I've been Scott, Rob, Lucas, and Sam. We thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Please subscribe. See you soon.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.